Well, this is my drive back to work. This is my hometown after Hurricane Helene. It's been 2.5 weeks. Things are getting better, but they're nowhere near normal. We still don't have power. We finally got a generator yesterday. And the Quartz Corporation came by today and rebuilt our driveway. And had I been here when it happened, they'd have seen a 50-year-old man cry. I was just blown away by that. And I mean, things are definitely getting better. We're coming up to a spot down here where during the hurricane our road washed out, and I have a lot of really cool neighbors that have a lot of really cool stuff. And this is where it washed out right here, and they came down and fixed this. Not like it is now, but at least so we get out and get some supplies. In fact, that's one of my neighbors' broke down tractor sitting there. Sorry, my car is very noisy. It literally has no exhaust. That's not a storm issue, that's just a me issue. But obviously our road is still got some dried up mud all over it and stuff like that. Still a lot of trees down, things that shouldn't be where they are, but here was coming up on the major washout, and I barely got my car through here when I got home. And again, now it's a lot better than it was. Mainly it's been fixed so they can get the big trucks in here to get the power fixed. As you can see, there's a power pole still leaning, and we're driving over some lines now, but there's a dump truck coming at us. Probably one of the same people that just fixed my driveway. Got washed out here a little. They've fixed this quite a bit. And as bad as that stuff was, that was the minor damage in my immediate area. That was a barn. It's now in pieces and washed down the hill. Again, that's some of the more minor damage compared to other things that have happened around here. There was a house right off to the side there where half the wall of the garage is missing, and down in the creek. Off to the right you can see just devastation. That creek overflowed to about 10 times what it is right now. It was over the road and over the property on the side. And you know, there's some spots where it looks like everything is just fine, and then you look, you know, just a little ways to one side or the other, and you'll see stuff that's just destroyed. And although we have power lines showing, you know, in good shape here, there's nothing connecting them on the other end yet. They are working on that. These linemen and tree guys are absolute heroes. And I know that most of them, they are reluctant heroes, not reluctant to do their job, but reluctant to take credit for it. So every time I get an opportunity, I thank them, which is rare, but I mean, I got to stand in line at the DMV today with a guy that does bump poles for AT&T, and made it a point to say thank you. It may not affect me personally, but it affects my community. But I mean, you see stuff off to the right there, and that's just an absolute field of devastation. That there were buildings there, there was stuff there, there's trees that you can see. There's parts of a car smashed down over there. I mean, this was 3 weeks ago was a beautiful area. I mean, these houses that off to the right there, they have no access to the main road at all. They're cut off by the creek. Some of them have access from behind them up to some other roads, but even that, it's a hike. But people are helping them out. I mean, everywhere you look, there's somebody helping. So there's a bad pole down. And normally I'd see those construction signs and I'd be like, oh, great, I got to sit in traffic waiting. But I see these now, and I'd see these as a blessing. Look at the lines down there. It means that they're working, that they're blocking the road off so they can get our power back. And like I said, it's been 2.5 weeks since we've had power, so we're definitely looking forward to that. Sitting for a few minutes in traffic is not a big deal. I can deal with that. And seeing them on the other side of the creek like that, with the trucks putting up poles, getting up lines, that's awesome. I paused you for a minute while we were sitting still. Said, you know, they're blocking off the road so they can get the stuff done. Did you see the big drill there? They're boring to put in a pole. That's awesome. But I mean, this literally looks like a war zone. I mean, all this stuff right here where I'm driving over where it's bumpy, that's places where the road washed out and fell down into the creek. And the creek's still a little higher than it should be, but that's also because all the debris that's in it. I mean, in the last few weeks we went from a place that looked absolutely beautiful to something that looks like a third world country. And although it may not look like it, we've got a lot of help and a lot of resources coming in, and all of us are very grateful. First week after the storm, this whole road was closed while they fixed those washed out spots, and we were taking a detour that was about 4 times as long. But again, I mean, just being able to get home. I'm a truck driver. I was out on the road during the storm, and I didn't get home for 3 days after it happened because the roads up to my town were inaccessible. So I mean, the little extra time it took to get home was worth it. I mean, just to see my family and know they were okay. I did go part of that time. The first 2 days I didn't talk to my wife at all because there was no service up here. I did talk to my daughter, but it's not the same. I finally started getting texts from them on like the second day, which made me less worried, but at the same time, you know, it's easy to hide things in a text where somebody's voice gives away what's really going on. And now we're coming down into the actual little town area of my hometown here, and this actually fared fairly well in this spot, but when we turn, you'll see it didn't stay like that. There's also still lines down here that, you know, they have fixed partly. It's hard to drive through here knowing what this place looked like before. And I mean, like, you might see the color in the trees. Where coming up on what would be considered peak week for the tree color, and this is a time where a lot of tourists would come through just to see that, and they'd spend a lot of money and help the economy of this town to begin with. And they're not coming this year. They can't, and I get that. I mean, I'm glad that we're getting the help we're getting instead, and we definitely need it. Up here on the left, which is going to be on the right when I turn, was a beautiful park. It's history. I mean, chunks of it just washed down into the river and down into the canal or creek or whatever on this side. Like I said, this was a beautiful area, and it looks like a war zone now. This is the main road where the road just washed out, and they've backed it back down and made it so we can get in and out of town. We'll let him have access to whatever he needs. I don't want to get in his way. Our Dollar General is not open yet. They've been using it as kind of a staging area for trucks and poles, and again, we're fine with that. I mean, it'd be nice to have it open. It'd be nice to be able to get some of the convenient supplies closer to home. But when it happens, it'll happen. But until then, we don't mind what they're using it for. That's necessary up here in the mountains. You don't really get the sense of elevation over the video, but there's quite a bit of elevation change between where I was and where I am right now and where I'm going. But again, you can see there's still, 2.5 weeks later, the road's been cleared. Trees have been cut out of the way, and everything's passable. But there's still a lot of damage. Fortunately, the lines are up through here, and there is power in town. My daughter and her husband live right down to the left of where I am now. They've had power for close to a week now, which is helpful. We were getting water from them and taking it back home. Because somehow we ended up being the only house on our street that is not spring fed and has an electric well, so we were without water the whole time. Right now, since we have the generator, we run the generator for a couple hours a day. It's $6 or $7 worth of fuel to do that, and we fill up water jugs like we were doing there, and just do that from home instead. So there went some National Guard trucks. There's a bunch of them around here too. From what I hear, most of what they're doing is still search and rescue. There's still many people missing, completely unaccounted for, and the chances of them ever being accounted for are slim to none right now. There were lots of landslides, lots of mudslides. And then it's the little things that have made a big difference. Like coming up on my right, our right here, is our local trash, which may seem like a small thing, but realistically, it wasn't open for a week and a half, and we had a lot of household trash that needed to be taken out. We had refrigerators that had to be emptied. I mean, we lost everything in our refrigerator, everything in our deep freezer. It's gone. So we had to get rid of that stuff. And when they finally opened up, my wife just loaded up the truck and hauled a bunch of it off. and we were very grateful to get rid of it. And these dump trucks, again, we're happy to see them. They're all in gravel. They're all in all kinds of base materials to get roads and driveways working again. I'm still just blown away by the kindness of Quartz Corporation. I think it's kind of funny. I used to haul actual ground quartz from the same area, and we hauled it from them. So there's already a relationship with that company to begin with, and then having them come out and do an awesome favor for us, and that just makes it that much better. I'm going to pause you again because we're coming to a stop, I think, but just keeping this rolling as much as possible to let you see what's going on here. Especially for those people that, there's other things being reported that just aren't happening. Things are not coming together quickly by any stretch, but they are coming together. There is help here. We are getting power back. We are getting water back. We are getting the things we need. We have food banks down here that are overflowing. The people have been so generous from all of our surrounding areas, and honestly from all over the country. We have churches where they have so many closed donations, they're turning people away because they can't give them away fast enough. And there's people up here that have literally lost everything. Houses are gone. The properties, even if the houses are still there, the properties are completely inaccessible. So if they've gotten out, they've stayed out and can't get back. There's lots of needs here, but there's so many people stepping up. Sorry, I had to stop talking there for a second. I was tearing up a little. A lot. And up on the left here is the brand new middle school, which was open for about a month and a half before the storms. It didn't get any damage as far as I can tell. So when school finally does open back up, they should be good to go. I'm hearing that's sometime in November, maybe. It depends on, I guess they need to have a certain percentage of students accessible by bus, and there's a lot of roads up here that not even a four-wheel drive can get through, much less a bus. So we'll see how that goes. And again, I'm on a main road. This is a very necessary thoroughfare. And it basically takes us between two major towns and a bunch of little ones in between. And of course, because we do have the Quartz Corporation here and Vulcan and Sibelco, the reality is that we have a lot of access to crushed rock, to redo driveway bases and road bases and stuff like that. And in fact, that's where those dump trucks were going, was to get some more road base. those lines they just cut and replaced so they can get power up the mountain. And pickups hauling heavy equipment is a pretty common sight around here at this point. Said be prepared to stop. I don't see where that's coming up, but guy out there grilling behind his truck. That's pretty cool. You do what you need to do. Last couple weekends there's been a guy out in front of the Dollar General with a huge smoker, smoking up all kinds of meats and handing out sandwiches and dinners and stuff. Like I said, this community came together in a really cool way. Glad to live here. Going silent, it's not because I've run out of things to say, it's because I've lost the ability to speak. Seeing this from your perspective, things look kind of rough, and I get that. Seeing this from my perspective, I know what it looked like before, and it hurts to see it like this. But at the same time, like I said, I'm just so grateful for everything we've been given. And for knowing that my family survived by the grace of God. All the families around here that have survived has been by His protection. We're actually down to Spruce Pine, as you're about to see that sign there. And this stoplight we're coming up to on the right is Quartz Corporation. And I'm going to mention them over and over again because they are my heroes for the day, without a doubt. I mean, they came in and replaced my driveway, and we had it replaced back in February after it washed out, and that was $1,400, and this was far worse. This would have probably been a $3,000-$4,000 job, and they came and did it for free this morning without us even having to ask. They came and did it. That's a big shout out to Quartz Corporation. These lines through here are basically brand new. They were running them, some of these they were running yesterday. And these lines feed several communities up where I live, as well as 2 different power companies. I gotta say, this is the first time I've come down this road in a while where I didn't get stuck in traffic because they had a lane blocked or something, but it's nice. I actually got to come up the mountain this morning on a road that's been closed since the storm, and they actually have it open not just for cars, but actually it's all trucks going down it, which is really great to see. The only other route out of here was not very fun, and in a truck was a little sketchy, but that one's a little sketchy in a truck too, but still a lot better than the other. And it's only bad for about 1.5 miles. After that, it's pretty decent. So again, I can't complain. Like I said, there's just too much good going on. We're down this is fine now. I'm not going to take you down into the business district and commercial district. They're actually in pretty decent shape. Not a whole lot is open because there's water and sewer issues through this whole area. Water is still an issue. Drinking water and bathing water is still an issue for a lot of people here. The water coming out of the taps is not drinkable. Some of the wells have been poisoned by spilled fuel, spilled chemicals, and stuff like that. I mean, it happens. So I mean, they're still trucking in, big tankers full of water. They're still trucking in big, full trucks of bottled water. Still a lot of needs here, but again, there's so many people stepping up to meet those needs. And as much as I'd love to say, it's been awesome to see how my community has banded together during this time, the reality is the rest of the country has reached out to us. I mean, I've seen people in their personal vehicles coming to help from as far away as Wyoming. That's insane. That's across the country, and they're coming to help us here in North Carolina.